Welcome to the Audio Architects Soundweb London Subranging Parameters Overview. Before moving on with this video, be sure to have watched the Audio Architect Soundweb London Links Overview video. First off, what do we mean by subranging parameters? Subranging a parameter is to reduce the overall usable range of the control. Processing objects such as the gain, gain timed, gain and input, and mixer variants found in Soundweb London devices allow us to raise or lower the level between the range of -80 and +10 dB. In some instances, an application may dictate that we reduce this usable range. It may be wished that we only have a range of -40 to 0 dB. The gain and gain timed objects allow us to change their fader subrange values directly in the object's properties. However, this nifty feature is not available to use when it comes to gain and inputs or mixer objects. While we could swap out the gain and input for individual gain controls, we then lose out on the convenient master mute and fader controls that may come in handy for other required tasks. Take for example using the master mute for an integrated fire alarm. But we're here to learn about subranging parameters, so let's not worry about what we can and can't do with the master section of the gain and input and just say we'll eventually need that section. So what are we left to do? In today's example, let's focus on subranging zone 1 as it passes through the gain and input. To achieve this, we are going to make use of parameter links. Similar parameters can be linked together as long as they have the same subrange parameters. First, in our audio configuration, let's add in a gain processing object and let's rename it to Zone 1 subrange. Then we'll select to create a new exact link and name this to Zone 1 subrange controls. Next, let's open the control panels for both the gain and gain end objects. Drag and drop it onto the Zone 1 fader control in the gain end input, as well as onto the fader of the gain object. Now let's momentarily close these control panels and select the gain object. Navigate to its properties and select the subrange tab. We find the minimum value at -infinity or otherwise -80 dB and the maximum at +10 dB. Okay, so let's change these values to the ones we described earlier as -40 dB and 0 dB. By linking the two parameters and adjusting the subrange of one, we can then use the fader in the gain object as our point of control over the level of Zone 1. Think of it like a DCA, or in other words, a digitally controlled amplifier. We don't have to wire this object into the signal path. We can simply use it to send information to the fader that is in the signal path. Let's open both the gain end and gain objects. Notice how the tick markers on the fader of the gain object now only live between -40 and 0 dB. As we adjust the fader of the gain object from the maximum to the minimum, we find Zone 1 is only traveling between this new range. Of course, we can still override these values by directly interacting with the fader for Zone 1 in the gain and input object. So when it comes time to assigning control for an end user to interact with, like a Contrio controller or a potentiometer, we need to keep in mind that the control should be assigned to the Zone 1 subrange gain. This concludes our overview on subranging parameters. Thanks for watching.